Hey everyone, I'm John and this is Blind Whiskey Reviews. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me again here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, where we give you the most honest whiskey reviews on the internet, in the world, wherever they are. Anyways, today we are reviewing Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This version is the 112.8 proof. So we'll be getting into that today. And before we jump into the review, I just really wanted to talk real quickly. I've been getting a lot of questions about if I'm going to start reviewing things other than bourbon. So I can tell you right now, I do have a whole bunch of rye whiskey in the review pile. And we just haven't happened to have landed on one yet. But hopefully we'll get on one of those soon. I do have a lot of bourbon and rye. I have a few bottles of Scotch and Irish whiskey, but I haven't thrown them in the review pile yet because I do want to get a few more. But the answer to the question is I will be getting into Scotch, I will be getting into Irish whiskey, and I think at some point if I can start picking up a few bottles, I'll add Japanese whiskey in there too. I don't drink a lot of that whiskey now. I haven't had a lot of experience with it, so I was kind of a little indecisive as to whether I wanted to throw it into the review cycle. I kind of decided that I do want to add that stuff in. And when we do review the Scotches, the Irish whiskeys and stuff, I'll obviously throw the caveat in that I'm no connoisseur of that stuff. I mean, not that I'm an expert on bourbon, but I do drink a lot of bourbon. I don't drink a lot of Irish whiskey and Scotch. So I do want to try them. I do want to let you know what I think about them. And you guys can kind of follow along on my journey into getting into those things. I've had Scotches before, and just kind of the basics, your Glenlivet 12s or things like that, your Johnny Walkers. So I don't have a ton of experience with Scotch, so I think it'd kind of be fun to go through that experience with you guys, experiment with that stuff, and tell you what I taste and how I feel about it. So we will be getting into that stuff soon. I just got to pick up a few more bottles to keep the whole blind deal going on, because right now if I saw the color of a Scotch, I'd be able to narrow it down to 2 bottles, because I think that's all I have at the moment. So anyways, that's the answer to that question. Let's get into the review. All right, let's get into this whiskey. First, we'll start, as always, with the color. We got that medium amber color, a little gold around the edges. See that? Let's move on to the nose. The nose is kind of light and fruity. Get some apple, a little bit of cherry, touch of brown sugar and like vanilla. Smells good. Let's get into the taste. Cheers. Real sweet on the palate. Moderate burn, not too much. A little tingle on the tongue. The flavors are kind of that same as the nose to a degree. Get a little bit of that light fruit at first. Changes a little bit on the mid palate, kind of turns. Get a little bit more of that cherry note, a little bit brown sugar coming over the tongue. Doesn't last incredibly long, kind of that medium, a little bit on the thinner side of medium too in terms of the mouthfeel. Burn's not too intense. I'm going to guess this is maybe something around, my guesses have been kind of off lately, but I'm going to say it's something around 95 proof or so. I get a little more cherry on the nose now. Not picking up much oak character. Stays sweet throughout as it goes over the tongue. Start sweet, end sweet. like I said, kind of a medium finish. Doesn't last too long, but it's good. Yeah, I'm not really getting any oak on it though, so I'm guessing this isn't too old a whiskey if it is age stated at all, which who knows these days. One last taste before we give it a number here. It's good. I like it. I think the flavors are it's a little more complex than a couple of the whiskeys we've had lately. It's got a nice sweetness to it, but it's not overly sweet. It doesn't have that like cloying, you can't drink too much of it quality to it. I could definitely have a couple pours of this. Proof's not too high, easy drinking, smoother. You know, it doesn't have the harsh burn. So I would imagine it's not too young either. But good. I'm going to say it's a 85. Good stuff. So let's see what it is. Man, I was way off on the proof. It is the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Barrel Proof. So that's crazy. I think, if I remember right, the version of this that I have is the 112 proof. So I was way off on the proof. This stuff drinks really smooth. Doesn't have that turkey character I'd normally expect. That's got a little more rye character in it. I'm not picking that up on this, but let's go grab the bottle and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right, we just finished reviewing the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This bottle is the version that is 112.8 proof. This is not the latest version. I know there's a 116 point something proof version out and a new, there's two versions of it. I think it's the same whiskey, but there's one in a bottle that looks like this, and there's actually a new style bottle that they've developed, new label, new bottle. And I haven't been able to find that yet. I still see this everywhere I go. So this is still available and out there. So if you want to pick this up, the 112 proof version is all over the place, at least in my area. And I would imagine it is all over the place everywhere. I obviously, based on my review, I thought it was good. I've read about this batch before, and I've heard that this batch isn't preferred by a lot of people that like Wild Turkey stuff. It's one of their least favorite batches in terms of the rare breed. I've heard the newest batch, the 116 proof, is great. And I do actually have a couple dusty old bottles that are maybe, I have one that's in the 5-year-old range, and I have one that's like 15 years old. And I think it'd be really cool at some point for us to do a blind flight of all these different versions of rare breeds. So once I can find the newest bottle, I think that's something I'd really like to do. I thought it was good. I obviously, based on my review and the proof that I guessed it at, it drinks incredibly smooth. I would never know this is 112 proof. That was one thing I couldn't put on it at all. It's very smooth. It doesn't have that punch of a 110 plus proof whiskey. Good flavors. The only knock I would say on it is I could use I mean, I've said this in the other reviews with other whiskeys, but I could use a touch more complexity. I didn't get that normal spice that you get from Wild Turkey, so I thought that was a little different when I found out what it was. But I think I kind of pegged it a little bit on the age. It's not old. I think generally these Wild Turkey rare breeds, I think it's a blend of different aged whiskeys, but it's somewhere in that, I would say predominantly in that 6 to 8 year range. So I think I kind of nailed that in the review. Not too young, not too old. So that's kind of the range I'd put it in. But yeah, it was good whiskey. This bottle, in terms of value, cost me $40. So for a barrel proof whiskey that has great flavor, smooth, I'd say hands down, it's a great value. Go out, pick it up. If you can find the 116 proof version, check that out and let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys think about that version, especially if you've been a fan of Wild Turkey and you've tried some of the other releases of it. I'd love to know what you think of the latest one. So don't forget, comment down below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe with the little icon down in the corner, and until next time, cheers.